fun, but like, I mean, when I was growing up in, I don't know, up until like the mid 2010s, I guess, it was always like a national champion or
We
somewhere in
always
the
got
ranking.
first
Yeah.
place, first or second, very rarely anything below first or second. I don't even know what the levels are anymore, because it used to be, advanced and intermediate, and then they changed that
It's like
around.
Pee-wee, junior pee-wee, small, medium,
What is it?
large,
Yeah, I know,
level
but
A, level B, there's
That's
a
what I
lot.
was trying to say, I was trying to figure out the levels for the, because it's no longer called advanced and intermediate and novice, they no longer call it advanced and intermediate novice, that's what they used to call it. It'd be good.
Are you ready for break?
Yeah. I didn't come so far away still.
So she just put a knife. So we had all went and gone to the movies and came back.
There was one thing on the warrant I noticed. It was like towards the bottom, it said the account had like $9,500 and there was invoices. Is that just like invoicing the billing, so it's billed invoices coming, the town just has to deposit money in the account kind of thing?
Poor son.
It was for a couple of accounts that had like,
She
I
had
don't know,
seen and fell. Her glasses cut into her forehead, and she had to get stitches in her forehead. Back forward. So her glasses cut in. That's what I found out downstairs.
it seemed weird, but I thought it was just
Who says that?
like lag for invoicing the billing, right? Not the account and everything. Page 8 and 9, I think. Cause it said insufficient balance on the one, on the bottom line, I mean, like. We can.
Whenever it says insufficient cash balance, it's just, the treasurer
It
has.
was a lag, okay,
Yeah,
that's, that's,
it's a treasury function, not me.
yeah. That's what I thought it was, it was just
Yeah.
one of those where we.
Yeah.
Got it. Perfect.
Bob, is Melissa on? Just wondering. We'll give her another minute.
Back again, huh?
Here we are. Let's go to record.
Consistency pays off.
Doesn't it?
Hopefully.
I'm gonna go ahead and start the school committee meeting of December 16th, 2025. Welcome to the school committee meeting of December 16th, 2025. This is a hybrid meeting. Recorded, and this meeting is being recorded, and it is accessible via WebEx. The meeting link is in the calendar at burlington.org. I don't believe we have a remote member. Melissa's not feeling well. She did attend our last meeting, but I'm not sure she'll be joining, but if she does, we'll be taking roll call. If connectivity is lost and we have a quorum in person, the meeting will continue. I will go ahead. Educational equity means that every child belongs and receives whatever support he, she, they need to develop his or their full academic, emotional, and social potential to learn and thrive every day. This begins with kindness and valuing the humanity of every child and individual. Let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Okay, the first item up is approval of the warrant.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, Jeremy?
Aye.
I'm sorry?
You asking for a roll call vote?
Yes.
Aye.
I'll go ahead, just in case Melissa. She's on, yep. Megan?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Melissa?
This is the minutes?
This is the warrant,
Okay, yes.
okay? And the chair is a yes, so it's 5-0-0. Okay,
I move we approve the minutes of 11/18/25.
Second.
any discussion? Okay. Melissa?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Aye.
Megan?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
And the chair is a yes, so it's 5-0-0. All right. Okay, we'll do the student report. Akshara?
Hello. Oh, can you hear me? Okay. Just to wrap up a few things we were talking about last time, our pep rally happened. That was a huge success. Everyone showed up. Everyone loved it. And for our hallway decorating contest, the freshmen ended up winning.
Did you guys take pictures?
I did not, but like I know a lot of the yearbook club did, like the yearbook committee, they did. Yeah, the freshman hallway was really good. So, but for our new business, we have Ugly Sweater Day coming up on December 22nd, and then our seniors, they had a homecoming which was really successful. They profited around $3,000. It was actually really good for our school because we haven't had a successful dance in a long time, so happy for them. And then the juniors, they're still planning their Penny Wars fundraiser, but more of that will be planned at their meeting tomorrow. And then their sophomores, they've been planning or discussing their prom venues. I think they're looking to the Boston Aquarium and then the Danvers Port, that's always there. And the freshmen, they were planning on having a movie night and just some like elementary school fundraisers, but they're gonna plan more of that at their next meeting as well.
That's great.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you ready for the holidays?
Yes.
Ready for break?
Yes.
Ready for everything to be done for this semester? All right. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate the updates. All right.
A moment of silence for the brown kids.
Oh, yes. This is not on the agenda, but I would like to have a moment of silence for the students at Brown University, and among other tragic events that have happened the last couple of days. So if we could just have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. All right, public participation. Is there anybody? Okay. Jamie? Yep, thank you. I'll go ahead.
Jamie Weber, Burlington resident.
Two things. One, I watched the last Buildings Committee meeting, and you guys had said that you reached out to the no side people. I think I was very vocal on the no side people. In fact, I held a lot of no signs and organized a lot of no people. I pretty much am very vocal and correspond with each one of you, but yet no one has reached out to kind of talk to the no side. I'm the no side. And I have a lot of people behind me. I have a lot of people that approach me. It's actually really sad that you guys are so out of touch with the community that you represent. I know that you ignorantly feel that you're not, but you completely are. And then the last thing that I want to say is that you are elected public officials. I email you many emails. In fact, every time there is a question of sexual concern, predatory behavior, grooming behavior, I always ask you guys for the safety and protocols. Dr. Conti just finally did respond to my second email, but I am a little concerned that we had an incident in the district where a former Burlington wrestling coach, James Lehman, was talked about in the FBI for grooming and child pornography in whatever incident, but the district has not said anything publicly. So there should be some clarity and some transparency regarding that. Parents do want to know, and it is being talked about. So I don't know where you guys stand with it, but I do want to put it on public record.
I respond?
Yep, Chris.
Jamie, parents want to know what? The individual no longer works for Burlington, and it was a terrible thing.
It is a terrible thing.
Fortunately, it had, to the best of my knowledge, it did not affect any Burlington students, but I would like to know, what is it that you would like to know?
What do you
would
think you
parents
want to
like-
know? I mean, as a parent, I would want to know that my child's safe. As a parent, when I address concerns in the athletic department about the toxicity and the culture around the athletic department and the coaches, and I make repeated emails to Dr. Conti, I make repeated emails to Sean Hart, Mark Sullivan, which I will be meeting with them in January regarding the
that's good.
toxicity. And I think it's very concerning, the amount of sexualization around the children in Massachusetts. I think it's very concerning as a parent, regardless, about to hear in Newton Public Schools child pornography, to hear about this. There are many incidents, you can just Google Massachusetts. But what training do adults and people within your district have that, number one, rule out this and ensure that my kid is safe?
Okay,
Like, my kid's safe because she communicates to me, and pretty much people know I'm a wrecking ball. If you come at my children, I'm not going to stop.
Okay, I would like to respond briefly that we do have trainings, that teachers go through them regularly.
What's
And
the
if there-
trainings?
You'd have to talk to Dr. Chen about the trainings, but we are very aware and very careful, and we totally agree with you that anything of that nature is like repugnant. So I just want to reassure you that that individual does no longer work in Burlington and has not, there have been no Burlington kids that have been affected by that, to the best of my knowledge.
Well, they name Burlington pretty well in the article.
Yeah, we all read the news, but I'm just addressing it to tell you that
Well,
that person
was he
is
officially
no
on staff as
longer.
a coach? Like, was he officially hired by the district as a, like, was he indirectly being a wrestling coach? Was he hired by like a subcommittee? Because we have like little, coaches, and then we have people that are not properly vetted.
Right. Dr. Conti will answer.
Never an employee for the district, was a volunteer coach, was put through what we put everyone through, and it was really an investigation by the FBI, and I think if parents have questions, they need to contact the FBI. As soon as the district was informed of anything, we acted as very quickly and to the furthest extent that we could. So that's.
So you still wouldn't put out a public statement, at least stating that he wasn't employed by the district, that he was a volunteer coach, and maybe the protocol around like what you guys do, whether you run query checks or background things to what type of investigation, how you properly vet these candidates for these jobs and these roles in the schools. Because we do a lot of talking about social emotional learning, and we do a lot of surveys, but I never see any of the athletic coaches surveyed. I never see any of the students doing surveys on sports and their participation in sports. We do a lot of stuff on leadership, yet we have children that are in captain roles that maybe don't have the stronger support or the leadership skills. There's many things that, we like to say we do all these things, but we only do surveys for some things and not other things. We don't do surveys at the end of the math quarter or the end of the math year to evaluate the math program or the math teachers. We don't do surveys when we have all the teachers leave and exit the positions in the high school. There's many things that we offer surveys for, but we only select the surveys that we offer for. I mean, if we're going to do a whole social, emotional.
Actually, Jamie, there are a lot of surveys like that done internally, but if you'd like to suggest some formally.
I have suggested a survey on the athletic department.
Okay,
on
but
coaches
I
that
think
we
probably
haven't paid.
time
The
is up.
time is up, and I know we decided, that we did respond.
But
I appreciate it. Thank
So for anyone watching or who wants to know about that, the individual did not work for the district, was a volunteer coach, was quarried. We're all quarried. Every one of us is quarried.
How often are we quarried?
Whatever the law says, how many years? Every 3 years. So
Every 3 years and not in between? You don't do random background checks?
it's a state regulation. So be assured that everything was followed with that, and the individual was banned from Burlington High School as soon as that became known.
Oh, thank you.
Through the chair, I just wanted to also make a comment that once I became aware of the allegations against this individual, I read through the indictment myself and found there was no evidence presented in the indictment that suggested that any Burlington students were involved. So, thank you.
Thank you. And I did want to respond too about reaching out to the no people. What I meant by that is that there were people that I had bumped into after the election, such as Jeff DeBona and a few other people who were very vocal on the no and said, we welcome you to come to the meeting. And in all fairness, all of our meetings are published as to when we were going to have them, and you were more than welcome to have come to the last meeting and state whatever you wanted to state.
Future
I
meetings.
didn't feel like I needed to make a formal invitation to everybody. What I meant by that is I had bumped into him and invited him. So I just wanted to clarify that to you.
And through the chair, we also discussed at that last meeting how individuals could get in touch with us to volunteer to be a member of the committee. So that was made clear also. Thank you.
And everyone's welcome at the meeting, so feel free to come to the next one.
Yep. Anyway, next. Even though we know who you are, please state.
Hello, Ted Mega. Let's try that again. Hi, everyone. Ted Mega. Happy holidays. If anything gets too uncomfortable, just let me know. But this was some of the material that was in the curriculum for 8th grade music.
Our curriculum?
Yeah. She got a body like an hourglass, but I can give it to you all the time. She got a booty like a Cadillac, but I can send you into overdrive. Oh, you've been waiting for that. Step on up. Swing your bat. Bat is a euphemism for penis. Bang, bang into the room. I know you want it. Bang, bang all over you. I'll let you have it. Wait a minute. Let me take you there. Oh, wait a minute. I'll take you. Oh, hey. She might let you hold her hand in school, but I'm going to show you how to graduate. No, I don't need to hear you talk the talk. Just come and show me what your mama gave ya, baby. I heard you've got a very big shh mouth.
Okay, so what are you reading from?
What are you reading?
Was that some song they were
This is a
singing or
song that they were having in
something?
music
It would have
class.
been nice to have had that
Yeah.
information up front.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not, there's a couple more, unless you're too uncomfortable.
No, I just,
Okay.
I think you made your point.
Do we know the name of the song?
Right.
Yeah, what's the name of the
What's the
song?
name?
The song is called Bang Bang.
Okay, Bang Bang.
And what was the context of it? What was, again, I just trying to find out where it came from.
Yeah, this was 8th grade music, and they were having dance, and so they were having the kids dance to the song.
So someone played the song and they wanted them to dance to that song.
That's exactly
That
right,
was-
yeah.
Were the students reading the song? Were they looking at the words?
It was part of the curriculum. It was the song that was being presented to
It
them.
was played.
That's right.
They weren't studying it or
That I don't know.
interpreting it
Or
or
evaluating
reading through it. They were just
does it matter?
dancing to it.
Does it
We're
matter?
just asking to
Well,
get
asking.
context.
I don't know. I don't know.
There's subtitles underneath the video that they watch.
Okay.
So it was a video that they were watching?
And the lyrics are showing underneath it.
Okay.
Subtitles.
And this was 8th grade music?
That's right.
Okay.
So anyway, it goes on, and there's even some more salacious content in there, but it sounds like we're too uncomfortable to continue on that.
Not uncomfortable. I
uncomfortable,
think
just
you
trying
made
to
the point.
research, find
So
out.
you don't think the song's appropriate?
I-
And I would agree.
Okay, yeah. And I contacted the principal I started with the teacher herself, no response. Then it went to the principal. Through a whole bunch of back and forth, there was, nothing that said that it was a mistake to have, which I was very disappointed by. There's no policy that I know of about outside content being brought in or policy about curriculum being approved ahead of time, which I am disappointed by. I think that teachers should have some flexibility to, make decision choices on their own. I get that, but if something is coming from the outside, it should be approved. Course material should be done ahead of time, and the department chair should approve it.
I have a question.
Yep.
Are you saying that this was approved curriculum or that this was something brought in from the outside?
This was brought in from the outside by the teacher.
Who brought it in?
The teacher, yeah.
Okay, well, I can kind of give you a guarantee that that song won't be brought in again. Does that make you feel better?
Not quite yet, right? So there really needs to be a policy about course curriculum being established ahead of time, and that anything that deviates from that needs to be approved.
Okay, I would agree.
Okay,
Right. Thank you.
thank you. So there will be a policy that we're going to
There'll
put
be,
forward?
I'm
We'll
sure
look
we'll
into
look
it.
into it.
We'll certainly consider a policy.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Anyone else online? Okay. Thank you. All right.
Is that news?
Subcommittee reports?
Is that news? To you?
No, there's a movement exercise at the end of class that the kids suggested. It's a radio song. I don't listen to it, but it's a radio song.
Subcommittee reports.
Subcommittee reports.
All right.
Right?
No, the Recreation Commission held the meeting last night. We spoke about warrant articles. There was some discussion about the tree article, doing a joint one again, if there was appetite for that, to kind of pool the money for tree emergency fund. Other than that, again, there's just standard warrant article language in some of the projects they're going to take on for a town meeting. And then for Marshall Simons, we've been continued one more time through the Conservation Commission. The updated drainage calculations conservation needed are still being worked through the engineering staff. We anticipate about a 2-week delay. We've been continued till the 15th, January 13th, yeah? I can't remember the date off the top of my head. At any rate, they've been continued to the January meeting. Again, we expect a 2-week slip. We can still meet schedule to get it out to bid prior to spring. We don't anticipate a change to the construction timeline. And again, this should be the last round of drainage calculations that will allow us to have the notice of intent approved.
Okay, thank you. Any other? Bob?
Apologize.
Yeah, Bob, could you update us on that?
Well, I was just confirming the conservation meeting is January 8th. So we had originally, during the initial layout with the 2 large fields, completed drill test to find out where the water table was. After we had been scheduled for our December 13th meeting, the week of, Eileen had reached out to Arson and wanted to confirm whether or not new dwellings or new drillings had been performed. Arson had declared that no, they were not, and because there was an addition of not only a change to the drawing, but an addition of a rain garden, that more drillings needed to be performed so we can get the water depth and then the water calculations in that corner. So those were performed, but by the time the new drillings were performed and then the calculations would not be complete for the December meeting, which is why we were pushed to the 13th. I'm sorry, January 8th meeting from the December 13th meeting. So those calculations have been completed, witnessed by the Board of Health and actually the Conservation, as well as engineering firm Nezra. So again, those are documented. We just need to complete the calculations, submit them in for the next meeting, and we hope that we're on board to move forward with the process. So.
Thank you. Appreciate the additional details. All right.
Thanks.
Ways and Means, Cheyenne?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You can move that if you need to.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ways and Means has no news at this time.
Okay, thank you. Any other announcements?
Yes, Madam Chair. I just want to congratulate Therese Kaczynski, who is our Poet Laureate. We had Poetry Out Loud last week, so she's actually a repeat laureate, so we'll try to get her scheduled for a committee meeting so you can hear her recitation. I also want to congratulate Gio Delgado. He's a senior, and he plays Play VS Madden, and again, not my area, but he is an esports champ. So he won his championship. I think it was actually for New England. It wasn't just Massachusetts, and there was a shutout in the final. So he really dominated the competition. So I want to congratulate Gio. We started the esports program, I think about 5 years ago, and he's our first champ. So that was great news. He was very gracious, and after winning, he really wanted to thank Leroy Wong and Nolan Hart, his 2 coaches and his teammates. So congratulate Gio. And then finally, we have a retirement, Nancy Bibby from Pine Glen. Nancy is the crossing guard, and she's been working at Pine Glen. I think this is her 40th year, so she is finally retiring. So the Pine Glen community, big part, obviously, of the safety coming and going from the building, and just part of that Pine Glen community, which is very close. So I want to, again, thank Nancy for her years of service and congratulate her on her retirement. So thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Through the chair, if I could, just one kind of selfish announcement. Burlington Pop Warner Cheer over the last week are now national title holders for second place for the E team and third place for the D team nationally. So pretty good stuff.
I'm glad you brought it up, because if you hadn't, I was going to, but I knew you would.
And the kids had a ball.
Yeah.
They did.
It's great. All right, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay.
Can I ask something?
Sure.
This isn't really an announcement, but you made me think of it. The parent who's upset about the traffic at Memorial, is there anything we can do to help out with that traffic in the morning at Memorial?
I think Melissa was going to reach out to.
I can add some color to that.
Melissa?
Hi, Chris. I talked to the parent, I talked to the PTO. Dr. Conti and I are talking with the police. I think the first thing that we're going to do is get Safe Routes to School out in January, see if we can redesign the layout of how the cars queue and things like that. So I think that'll be more to come in January, but we're working on it.
Thanks, Melissa.
Great, so action is being taken.
Yes.
Yes, and I'm in communication with the parent as well.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Next item is the out-of-state travel request.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we have a travel request from John Middleton Cox. Purpose of the trip is for the Winter Percussion Ensemble to compete in the NESBA, the NESBA Indoor Competition. The competition is hosted by Salem High School in Salem, New Hampshire. The trip is on Saturday, March 14th, 2026. Transportation is provided by NRT. Chaperones will be the staff members, and bus would leave the high school 2 p.m., return about 9 p.m. About 35 students would be participating in the Winter Percussion Ensemble in Salem, New Hampshire. So recommended the committee approve the out-of-state travel for the Winter Percussion Ensemble to the indoor competition in Salem, New Hampshire on Saturday, March 14th.
All right, thank you. Need a
So moved.
motion?
Second.
What's the cost?
Any discussion? All right, we'll take a vote. Melissa?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Aye.
Megan?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
The chair is a yes, that's 500. All right,
Thank you, Madam Chair. Out-of-state travel request for the wrestling team to go to 2 tournaments. Out-of-state travel for the wrestling team includes participating in the Eastern State Classic from January 9th to 10th, 2026, and the Capital City Tournament on January 30th and 31st, and students will take a bus to each event. Again, the Eastern Classic is in New Jersey, and Capital City Tournament is in New York. So it's recommended the committee approve out-of-state travel for the wrestling team to both of these events, again, on January 9th and 10th, and on January 30th and 31st.
So moved.
Second.
any discussion? Okay. Melissa?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Aye.
Megan?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Chair is an aye, 500. All right, next item, the CPAC.
CPAC donation. So again, Ms. Kasha will give you the details.
Yeah, so I think last year in, I think it was March or April, at the school committee meeting, we had a discussion about CPAC funds. So we had established a revolving account. We did get a check for $100, so I just wanted the committee to accept that, and that will go into the revolving fund that was established solely for the use of, for CPAC expenses. And you'll see that account get added to the monthly financial update. It just hasn't appeared on there because the balance has been zero.
Thank you.
Question.
All right.
Well, I move that we approve it, but I then have a question.
All right.
Second.
All right, discussion.
So this is CPAC money and will stay CPAC money, but it's changing the, it's making the way that it's being held appropriate, proper. Is that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
That's exactly it. All right. All right, so no more discussion? All right. Melissa?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Aye.
Megan?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
And the chair is an aye, 500. Okay, next item.
Again, thank you, Madam Chair. We just wanted to give the school committee an update on a grant that we are writing for in partnership with the Burlington Police. Lisa, you have some details on that?
Yes, I do. So first of all, I really want to say thank you to all members of the district school safety committee leadership team, Lauren Angelo, Deborah Clark, Chrissy Concession, school resource officers Don Colicchio, and also Dan Murphy. They actually wrote a grant. It's a substantial grant for $1 million to be used for the next 3 years. and it really is to enhance our staff capacity to prevent and respond to threats, to strengthen our mental health and early intervention capacity, to improve our communication systems and reporting, to enhance the teams in our schools, to strengthen family readiness and reunification, and to ensure accountability and data tracking. And it's just a very exciting grant, and I'm always really appreciative of when, our memberships, our leaderships always partner with other community members, such as the police, and just trying to make this a much more safer place. And a lot of this will be upgrading the wave and really just training staff. And just very hopeful that we'll get the grant. It is $4 million, and we will hear sometime in January.
And Madam Chair, I just want to be clear, we have not been awarded the grant.
No, we have not been awarded the grant.
Not be awarded the grant, but we didn't want the first time that you heard about this grant to be if we happen to be awarded. So we are applying for this money. It's a 3-year grant, and if we were to be awarded, we would provide details then on the expenditures moving forward.
Okay, great. Next item up is policy JJH.
Yes.
Well, hold it.
Yes.
That was informational, but I still have a question.
Okay.
So that's for $1 million.
For 3 years.
For 3 years, so it's $3 million?
No, don't I wish. It's $1 million for 3 years.
$1 million over 3 years. And the Burlington Police Department is in this with us? They're part of the application process?
Yes, they are.
Okay, thank you.
And it was as a team that they brought it up, and a lot of this training will continue with the training of the I Love You Guys training, which has been amazing, and it's and all of our staff has been trained on that. So that's just very exciting. Very exciting. It's good stuff.
When you talk about school violence, are you talking about violence within the system with kids, or are you talking about threats from the outside?
Through the chair, I think we're really talking about all events, but some of the components of the grant would be to enhance some of the systems that we currently have in place. I think we do have staff turnover, so continual training is always really important on the standard response protocol, which is you guys were made aware of. And then I think we're always looking to make sure that every student feels like they are seen and belong and noticed, because one of the sort of the common threads are students who feel sort of alienated and unseen can sometimes cause those issues. So I think we're looking at everything. We can't afford not to look at everything. So we're looking at, again, threats from the outside in, and also making sure that we're aware of who our students are, and sort of making sure that they feel like they belong to school.
Thank you.
And just to add a little bit more, what I also really like the way they wrote about this grant is also to increase the number of training videos about like how we do our reunification drills, and that really is to increase family understanding of all the drills that we practice, because I think our staff are really good when it comes to the lockdown drill. It's those minutes right afterwards, and that minutes can be very, very scary of like, oh my goodness, what's happening to my baby at this point in time, right? And so that's the piece that we're always getting more training on.
Thank you.
Can I make a comment? Last year when we had that, when the safety thing went on, like it was in the high school, I was disappointed that when all the students were let out, everybody was dismissed because the kids were kind of terrified and went home. There was no debriefing for these kids. So if this grant is approved, we really need to look at the debriefing that goes on. Like the kids exited the building, and my kid was one. She just, after the warning they had of being, when the false alarm went off, all the students at the high school mass exit. There was no debriefing. Not the next day, not an hour later. So I think that's important to address, and making sure going forward we have a better system, especially in a high-stress situation like that.
All right, thank you. Ms. Monaco.
Dr. Conti, was that a drill that she's referring to?
No, we had a false alarm, and actually, a lot went right that day, and we also learned some things we could improve on. So I think there was a lot of debriefing afterwards. I think we certainly could have, talk to the students more. I think reunification is one of the more complex pieces of any sort of school emergency, because parents want instant access to their children, obviously, and then trying to do that in an organized way is difficult. But I don't want to discount the response time. I thought was impressive. I thought that the communication out to the community sort of went as it should have. So there was lots of positive things, but we did spend a lot of time go over sort of what happened. It was should not have occurred, but it was a learning experience when it did.
Was it a false alarm?
It was a malfunction of one of the buttons, and again, the buttons we've had them in place now for a long time, and again, part of the grant is going to be to replace them. We have gone through all of them, and they've been maintained, but I think over time, sometimes there was a malfunction. So, and again, I think the response time was incredible, and I think the lockdown went really well, and I think when the kids were in the building, everyone was behaving as they should have. It was, again, it's always that reunification piece that we need to continue to work on.
Thank you.
Through the chair, I've been through the reunification training in depth for many hours, and I think it's a great use of funds and like you said, a very complex system of notifying parents. And God forbid something terrible happened to a student, how those parents are notified, how staff is trained to work through that process physically and emotionally with those families to make sure that students are reunited with their families. We have the appropriate class lists and contact information frequently updated, that we have safety measures in place. I can't go into too much detail, but just to make sure that everything is streamlined, God forbid something terrible were to happen. So I think it's a great use of funds. Thank you for working towards this grant. It'll be wonderful to be able to continue this training.
Jeremy. And to speak to the comment from public participation, so sitting on the district-wide school safety council, the items being discussed, from taking off my school committee hat and putting on my parent hat, will provide a more consistent and robust program of instruction to help parents understand how we're going to respond, ways they're going to respond, things that are expected of them. Again, so putting on my parent hat, I think the things we're talking about will really help parents understand and make a bad event just a little bit more manageable with some of the things they're talking about. So I think it's absolutely a good grant that we're going for. The items being discussed are worthwhile and going to really help us provide a safer environment for all the kids in the district.
Well, and to Jamie's point, I think we've all been talking about the adults and everything, but we also need to make sure that, like you said, the students also have a way to be spoken to and have a way to reflect, and that we give them an opportunity to, decompress from the situation. And I think lessons are learned, and hopefully, nothing like that happens again, but if it does, we've learned lessons, and we make sure that there's a way that our students are also dealt with, so.
I mean, Dr. Conti was right, there were a lot of positives that came out of that day, but, I think going in the future, we do need to.
We can always do better, I guess is what I'm trying to say too, Jamie, right? We always can improve, and, lessons learned, and let's try and make sure that we do better, that's all. So now let's go to policy, was it JJH?
Yep.
Yeah, and again, the next three are really from the policy subcommittee in their first reading, so you'll certainly see them again. And Dr. Chen, you want to just review them?
Yes, I want to review them. What you see highlighted in red when we talked about JJH, there was the emphasis of the nurse put in first with prescription medication administration. We went ahead and added that change. And then, but the law now allows us that if a school nurse, should a school nurse not be available, the school nurse does have the final decision-making authority for the provisions of medical administration. But in talking to the lead nurse today, I met with her this morning, she has told me that on all the field trips right now, the nurse is always first. They make sure the nurse goes first, and we're gonna do a lot more training next year.
Thank you.
So that was added, that suggestion was added into JJH.
Well, Can I
Yes,
just, so the point of it was that I had a concern that it wasn't fair to have field trips without a nurse because of the medical disabilities of some children, that they couldn't go on the trip if there wasn't a nurse. So we changed the policy to make sure that that no one's left out, because there will be a nurse present.
Okay. Anyone else want to make a comment on it? Okay. Ready to move on to policy JLC?
That's action. You want to vote on that one?
We don't have a vote, it's a, I think it was just in,
It's a first reading.
it says first reading.
Okay, what does it say, action? Okay.
And the same for the next one. Policy JLC?
JLC, it's because of the new requirements of Massachusetts state law. This has just been updated to represent that. One of the things is, you had shared with me a long time ago, our physicians used to do, they're more of a consultative service. They do not do, long time ago, they used to be able to do some other services, but that is not our school physician that we have today. But all of it is up to date in what it is. It's just making sure that things are up to date. And I looked into the question that you had asked, Megan of the subcommittee, from the subcommittee, and yes, if there's something that happens on the playground that is then reported, the school nurse will then check in with the student. That's just protocol. They'll check in with the student the next day. So I checked on that as well, too.
Any other comments or questions on that one? All right, again, that was a first reading, so let's go to the next policy.
Yes, the next policy, this again is an update based on our statutes. And one of the things I just wanted folks to know again, the district will connect students to a physician to complete the physical examinations, because our physician now doesn't do the physical examinations. And we're going to still keep it between 3 to 4 years, because depending on what grade level it is, that's when we have asked for a copy of the physical examinations. And then also down in in the 5th paragraph, in speaking to the head nurse, the SPIRT is done in the 7th grade and 10th grade. And none of that has been done until this policy, after it passes, will it be done. But right now, like in the high school, it would have been done. It has not been done.
Maybe explain that a little bit, the part that is not done or will be done.
Once this policy, after, it's always been done in the 7th grade and 10th grade. And what the SPIRT is, it's just notification of a screening that occurs. It's just a screening of your back.
Oh, you mean the scoliosis screening?
It's that screening, the brief intervention or referral to treatment, yes. And it's completed annually in the grades. And students can be able to opt out of that screening anytime before, during the screening, through written notification. But we haven't done any of that screening until after this policy.
Gotcha.
And through the chair, all the information about each of these screenings is available on the district website.
Yes,
so
it is.
families can read more about it, understand what it is, what it isn't, and make an informed decision for their student.
And parents can opt out. Again, we have to offer them because they're state required, but parents don't have to participate.
Okay, thank you.
So excuse me, I'm sorry. So there are a lot of screenings that parents can opt out of. Can they opt out of the eye test and the hearing test and the...
BMI test, the scoliosis test, all of it, yeah.
Body mass index, scoliosis, those are all things that you can opt out of. Or you can go along and have them done. Take your pick.
Yes, and again, they're all available. There's background on all of them, and if there's a question, why do we do that? We're required to do it, but people don't have to participate in those. So that's sort of, I think we're just cleaning up some of the older language, and as things evolve, again, we'll go through the policy subcommittee and then bring them to the committee. So you should see these on a future meeting as a second reading. And we'll notify parents before these are occurring. And again, parents can research and then opt out if they choose.
And there's a page on our website that describes, under surveys and screenings, that describes all the screenings that are occurring, just like Megan has said, and it describes them in greater detail, and it also talks about how you can opt out of them.
Thank you. All right. Next item is the math review update.
Yes. So. So, Mr. Kuna, may we go to the first page, please? Yes. In 2023 and 2024, the math curriculum review was conducted, and it came from 10 recommendations were made. And all of this has been posted, like every year that we've done where we are with our process with math. It's all on the website, and all the reports are on the website. All our meeting notes are on the website, and you can look through specifically what these 10 recommendations were. Next, please. And one of the recommendations that we started to focus on in greater detail in 2024 and 2025 was that we started to take a look at two of the recommendations, which is the vertical alignment and the pathways. And we really took a hard look at potentially, especially during our transition years, which is pre-K to K, 5 to 6, and 8 to 9. And really, it was really to ensure that all of our students, when we started to take a deep dive into our data, had the highest levels of math learning available for all learners, and not just a small group of learners. And again, it was to ensure that our special education population, our English language learner populations, whoever it is, had complete access to high opportunities of learning when it comes to math. Next, please. Now, where did this come from? We took the time as a district, starting 2 years ago, to really identify what the math curriculum belief statement should be, what our students should be learning, what should our approach be, and why it's important. And these are the guidelines that whenever we make a decision as a team, we use these to measure our measuring stick by. Next, please. So what this led us to is that we formed the UBD task force, and what UBD stands for is Understanding by Design. It was comprised of 4 high school educators, 3 middle school educators, 10 elementary educators, and 2 early childhood educators, as we continue to take a deep dive into our curriculum and to take a look at it to ensure that we are touching base on the learning goals and objectives that we wanted to, and that our assessments were aligned specifically to the learning goals of what we wanted our students to learn. Next, please. And in that process, we took a very hard look at identifying and refining and confirming what our power-supporting remaining standards are. Our power standards are all those standards that pre-K through 12, these are standards and skills that will build upon one another that all students should master in order to reach towards the next grade level. Your supporting and remaining standards are those standards that support those power standards. And during the summer of 2024, the UBD Task Force defined the standards and identified the power-supporting remaining standards for each of these math courses, pre-K through 8, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and Pre-Calculus. Next. By June 2025, the UBD Task Force drafted over 40 test kitchen units, because our goal is to present to all math teachers through Understanding by Design what exemplary units look like. Next, please. And this year, continuing our work with curriculum writing, what we're doing is we are redefining and bringing along what these exemplar math units should look like and making them into digital resources for all BHS math educators. We're deepening and broadening our understanding and application of stage 1, 2, and 3 to create additional UBD math units. And what I mean by that is we have identified all of the learning goals, all the power standards, and right now we are in the process of developing common formative assessments to ensure that we have very, very clear indicators on where our students are. So it doesn't matter who the teacher is. You may have 3 or 4 questions that are very similar because they're aligned to the power standards, in which you can assess how the students are doing. That is a good way to check on how the teacher is presenting the material to the student. Next, please. And then during the 2024-25 year, the Algebra 1 Task Force, we worked on creating some pathways to ensure some vertical alignment and pathways, because the goal is to ensure that all children have the ability to complete both Algebra 1 and geometry by the end of 10th grade. Next, please, that aligns to our approach, that our approach believes that math should have multiple entry points, and it should not be tracked. Just because you start in one area doesn't mean that you cannot get calculus by the end of your learning. So really our goal is to provide children, regardless of where they are, with many, many different multi-entry points. Next, please. So the Algebra 1 Task Force learned about research and proposed mathways so that every student has access to Algebra 1 starting in BPS middle or high school, and every student has completed Algebra 1 by the end of 10th grade. Originally, we started to take a look at some math textbooks in the review process, but we realized it was a bit too much for us to chew for last year, so we just continue to work and map out those pathways and to create those courses in the middle school. That is not to say that in the coming 2026 and 2027 year, we're going to begin taking a look at, in particular, K through 8, our math textbook. Next, please. And so our thing is we came with guiding principles that would guide us on what our pathways. We decided as a group, Algebra 1 can be completed by every learner by the end of 10th grade. Taking Algebra 1 in middle school is an option. Every math standard is taught within the BPS math courses and within the school year, and we're not going to rely on Russian school, summer school, or weekend school. There are options when a student masters the course standards by the end of each course. There are options when a student does not master the course standards by the end of each course, and that every course is for every learner. That our goal really isn't, we're going to start addressing math courses for learners who need modified content, especially specific special education program, and specifically for our SLIFE learners, and we are working towards that. And standards, let me say this again, standards, that all students are required in the state of Massachusetts to lead the definition for each course, standards. All right, so next, we started to put together some pathways in which this year this is occurring. In grade 6, the students come in. They have the opportunity to take grade 7 or a condensed grade 7 or 8th grade class. This condensed grade 7th and grade 8 class contains all of the standards of grade 7 and all of the standards of grade 8. It is occurring right now. Every single one of each of the 7th grade math teachers teaches one accelerator, a condensed grade 7 and grade 8 course. That will then give students the option the following year to either take grade 8, an integrated grade 8 or Algebra 1 course that is being taught at this time and moment. The integrated grade 8 and Algebra 1 course takes all of the standards in grade 8 and all of the standards in Algebra 1. The following year, which is in 2026 and 2027, and the grade 8 teachers are in the process of working on this with the high school math teachers, is Algebra 1. In 26 and 2027, our middle school students will receive an Algebra 1 course that is a high school Algebra 1 course, such that our grade 8, our integrated grade 8 and Algebra 1 or Algebra 1, you're going to have multiple pathways. So your grade 8, possibly could take an honors Algebra 1. The integrated grade 8 in Algebra 1, if folks feel as though the kids felt as though I'm moving way too quickly, I have an opportunity to retake an honors Algebra 1 or honors geometry, or if I feel like I'm ready and I am moving as fast as I can through the integrated grade 8 and Algebra 1, I can go ahead and take that geometry. Now, there is a possibility that when I came in from the condensed 7th and 8th grade, because we have those students who they just learn math at a much quicker level, they may decide, you know what, I don't need that extra support of an integrated grade 8 in Algebra 1. I can go ahead and take an Algebra 1 course. So this is what's occurring, and this is what will be occurring next year. Again, I'm going to say next year we're going to have a high school Algebra 1 course. All right, next slide, please. So one of the things that we started to do last year is that we put together a course description of what the condensed grade 7 and grade 8 math course would be. And let me say this again. These are all of the math standards for grade 7 and grade 8. And the course will move at a fast pace with a deep learning of proportional relationships, rational, irrational numbers, linear equations, functions, and 2D and 3D geometry. The reason why a deep learning of those, because if the student decides that they can master that and they do extremely well, that will give them the opportunity to go ahead and jump to a high school Algebra 1 course. In integrated grade 8 and Algebra 1 math, again, that course which is now being taught in the middle school, and it's offered by each of the 3 math teachers in grade 8. They each teach an integrated grade 8 and Algebra 1 math course. That will also have not only the standards for grade 8 and the standards for Algebra 1 math, but there will be deep learning and graphing and solving for systems of equations and inequalities, exponents and exponential functions, analyzing slope and rate of change, and applying these concepts to real-world situations. And then Algebra 1 in the middle school, and this course is designed and aligned to the one that is being taught at the high school. It will engage in deep learning of polynomials, functions, and exponents, solving and graphing linear and quadratic equations and inequalities, and analytical computations, and clearly communicating reasoning. Next, please. And these are the misconceptions that often are out there and concerns that these courses are not leveled or tiered. And so this is on-level work of grade 6 math, grade 7 math, and grade 8 math. Again, all students must have grade level standards. It is based on data. And so the data points that we're going to be taking a look, again, are the former MCAS scores, the iReady scores that our students are given 3 times a year in math, teacher recommendations, and also test scores of the math assessments from the teachers. And yes, this is accessible to students who've already mastered half of 1 grade standards or more. Next, please. Every math course is an inclusive course, and the modified math content is for learners needing modifications. This is a very small population, and we're working on what those courses are going to look like for students who are in the substantially separate math content, and also with our students who are limited and interrupted formal education. All right. So one of the things that we know as we go through this process, next please, is that these are the following steps that will be taken on for the 25-26 school year. Really in mind, we're going to be working on the UBD process. And the one thing that's really exciting about the UBD process, it doesn't really matter. You always start with the desired results, which are your learning outcomes. Stage 2 happen to be the assessments, and stage 3 is always the activities. So it really doesn't matter in the end if we adopt a different textbook. We're going to always have stage 1 and stage 2, which is the standards. Since it's based on the standards, you're going to always be teaching to the standards. And stage 2 2, since the assessments are aligned to the standards. Really, the stage 3 is just the cherry on top, in which you're just aligning, taking whatever's in the math book to align with stage 1 and stage 2. So the work that we're doing now is going to have long sustaining effects and impacts. All right, and as I said, again, we're going to be putting in the Algebra 1 course for 26-27. And then when we decide to take a look at this, we shifted this, and this is going to be more in the 26-27 school year. We're going to be taking a look at K through 8 when it comes to math. And we're going to go through the process like how we went through a process of CKLA. So you could imagine if I said to all the teachers here in Burlington, guess what, we're doing 2 math adoptions. I mean, like 2 literacy and math, I would have, tomatoes thrown at me. You can't do it all at one time. It's too much. So you have to break it down. And then the other thing that's been going on in 2024 and 2025, since we have these wonderful math specialists, they've been trained more so as coaches, and they've been working really hand in hand with Dr. Thunder on this. And then why is this important? It's important because in order to sustain the learning, you have to continue to give the specialist continuous learning and professional development, and you have to continue to give teachers professional development as well, too. And then this is the timeline of what the elementary math specialists went through. They went through a coaching cycle last year, and they are going through this again, and they're also working with some teachers and helping them understand what the UBD process takes a look at. And then finally, this has been our products. And then finally, in the next slide, when it comes to the MTSS task force that we're working on this year. So we're taking a look at examining the curriculum when it comes to literacy. Then we're continuing to take a look at the curriculum that is in math. And then all during this time, we've been working through this year with a group of teachers and administrators on taking a look at the whole child when it comes to the MTSS task force. Chrissy Concession is taking a look at the behavioral and attendance component, whereas I am taking a look at the academic component. So that means ensuring that we continue to have a strong Tier 1. Tier 1 is always first, no matter what. Ensuring that we have a very strong process that's consistent in the elementary schools as it moves up to the middle school, and then as it moves up also to the high school. Identifying what those processes are going to look like at the middle school and also at the high school, and having a very vertical conversation about what are the universal screeners and what are the screeners that we're going to be using and measuring to make sure that our kids, if they are for Tier 2, that we're monitoring their progress, that we're ensuring that no child is being left behind, that we're having the consistent data protocol and the time that's needed to talk about our students who may need some Tier 2 or Tier 3 interventions. So that's all the work that's going on this year. And the product from that work, just so that you know, is that by the end we hope to deliver a product that is an MTSS-like handbook that we can share with both parents and that we can also share with teachers, that outlines what the Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 interventions are at the elementary school, middle school, and the high school. And that really is going to also help with the child's study process. And then also on top of that, in the final math curriculum review, what we're going to do is, because we've had now some time to take a look at this, we're going to also take a look at our pathways to ensure that the pathways that we've put in are not tracks for students, because they are called pathways, they're not called tracks. So we want to know who are the students getting into the advanced math courses, who are the students now who are going to be taking, instead of Algebra 1, now they have the opportunity to take Geometry Honors instead when they go into the 9th grade, and so who these students are. And yes, we will be taking a look at the student data, and we will be getting feedback. So that's a really deep dive that occurs when it comes to that deep math analysis. So that's what's been going on. Are there any questions? Then all this will be put online, like every single report that I've done, every single thing that we've talked about when it comes to our UBD process, when it comes to the MTS process, when it comes to any review that we do, it's all online, the agenda, the minutes, who the people are, the next steps, the reports, all of it. So we want to be as transparent as possible of where we are.
Thank you. And Ms. Monaco?
I think it's all great. I applaud you for doing all of this work and for having a tangible product and plan. The only thing I'm concerned about is a textbook.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm one of those people that could only learn from a textbook. I could sit in class and listen and learn nothing, but I could go home and read the book and learn it all. So I'm anxious for you to move forward with the textbook for these kids so that those who learn by reading it will have that textbook to read.
Yes, and that's something that I've been starting to talk about with Carrie Fortunato, and we're going to have to look for a new textbook anyhow, because at least in the middle school, we have one more year when it comes to the book that we're using. So I really want to take a look at a lot of the high-quality curriculum. I want to go through the exact same process that we did with CKLA. I want to make sure that whatever we're using, if we're looking at a K through 8 adoption at first, let me say that again, that is aligned, because there are some textbooks, Ms. Monaco, that go actually K through 12. There are some companies that do that. So that's one of the things I'm going to be looking at. So even though it says really K through 8, you don't just look at K through 8. Even though it's K through 5.
Or an algebra textbook.
Yeah, we're talking K through 8, yes, and including an algebra textbook, yes.
So now I'm focusing on the algebra textbook. And K through 8, they must currently have textbooks?
They do. They have, K through 5, they have Envisions, and they did use Big Ideas when it came to the Algebra 1, just because we used Big Ideas down in the middle school, but I'm very much interested in taking a look at, and yes, that will include, since that's going to be K through 8, it will include an Algebra 1 adoption as well, too.
And it should, in my opinion, be the same Algebra 1.
Yes, as it is at school. Yes, it absolutely needs to be, because I cannot say that it is a high school course, and that we're doing these things, and all hear that the consistency, if that does not occur.
And Algebra 1 is such a basic tool for
It is the gateway. It is the gateway for students to be able to do well in calculus.
I used to joke that I could speak algebra quite well, but I couldn't do arithmetic.
But that's why Algebra 1 is so important. It is the gateway when it comes for our students for higher level maths. It is very important.
Thank you.
Ms. Wojcik?
Thank you, through the chair. I have a comment. I want to echo your comments about having a textbook and how helpful that is as a learner, and then also as a parent who's helping teach their child, to make sure that you're teaching just the way that they're being taught at school. That carryover at home is very helpful. Also, I would like to suggest that when we're looking for a new curriculum, that we find a K through 8 math curriculum that also has a special education component for students who have been identified with a SLD in math or dyscalculia, so that there's more of a streamlined communication between your interventionists and also your content teachers. I know that there are some curriculums out there that have that, and it's very helpful to be able to get those materials that align directly with what's being taught in Tier 1 to support those students. So thank you.
All right. I guess you're up again with the
Yes,
journey.
yes, ma'am.
To CARES.
So we're doing the Journey to CARES, but, or now it's called the BPS Thrives, but prior to that, I think I sent you a new, I should have sent you a new roll before it. And that's my fault, Bob, and it should be before the title. There are two things before the title. So it's called BPS Thrives, And it would have congratulations at the beginning, so let me resend this to you, Bob. And that's my fault, and I apologize. Yes. Thank you for your patience with me. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bob. Again, wanted to congratulate Gio Delgado, the BHS senior who won his Play vs. Madden football championship, and he's our first eSport champion. Congratulations to coaches Leroy Wrong and Nolan Hart, who have done a great job with the Red Devils gaming program. And I also want to mention that the DECA Club brought over 177 students to the DECA district competition, where students presented written projects and businesses role plays to solve various business problems. A special thanks to Krista Anderson and Danielle Truve, who are the DECA co-advisors, DECA co-presidents Caitlin Shanahan and Maddie Belly, as well as Daniela D'Souza, Heather Northrup, Darrell Braggs, Joanne Faust, Rosemary D'Souza, Amanda Murphy, Tanya Boldazer, Wing Seaman, and Renee Walker for their assistance with chaperoning and judging at the conference. Next, please. And here are our students. All right, next. Thank you. Before I begin, we are going to be rebranding this instead of Journey to Cares. It's been rebranded as BPS Thrives to encompass our core values of learning, equity, and thriving. And before moving on to the presentation, I'd like to highlight the amazing work that our BPS teams are accomplishing this month. The business and finance team planning for fiscal year 27 and attended the North Shore Business Manager Roundtable. English K through 8. This team has participated in the Dyslexia Institute Professional Learning and Structured Literacy Support aligned with Massachusetts Dyslexia Guidance. We're hard at work piloting 2 highly qualified curriculums, L and Common Lit 360 with the middle school, with a final decision to be made in March 2026 to be fully implemented in 2026-2027 school year for our middle school students. With Human Resources team, we've processed, reviewed, and updated Corey re-verifications for 800+ staff members, interviewed and onboarded new per diem substitute teachers. With our mental health team, working with the MyCap, with the Director of Pathways, Director of Curriculum Instruction at BHS, Director of Guidance at BHS, and with me, working with the district instructional leadership team on assigning SEL competency to the BH profile of a graduate, with the nursing team updating concussion protocols by collaborating with the head trainer, Kelly Melville, developing new medication administration plans to align with the new DPH regulations. The operations team has been hard at work repairing HVAC freeze stats at the middle school and repairing the Pine Glen power generator. The Science and Social Studies K through 5 team have introduced the new interactive science models to grade 1 and 2 students exploring sky patterns, distributing Lego robotic kits to families and community members participating in this year's Unearthed Challenge for students in grades 2 to 5. The special education team, with partnership with the Director of Reading, reading specialists, special education leaders, and the Fox Hill assistant principal, have all been attending the Dyslexia Institute. And the Student Information Office team gathering data for the Kindergarten Information Night to be held on January 14th. And now for slide 1 of BPS Thrives. This is the Devilbots Robotics team STEM Spectacular on Saturday, November 23rd. There were 318 attendees, enjoyed a full day of celebrating science, technology, and engineering, including Melissa Mazzarato, Jeremy Brooks, Gloria Watasic, and a really big shout out for our high school members for setting this up and for coordinating all this. Next, in slide 2. attended with Dr. Conti the turkey trot race at Memorial Elementary School and the BHS pep rally. Next, in slide 3, continuing on with professional development of the MTSS Academic Task Force, Curriculum Tuesdays with Carrie Fortunato, listening to the recommendations for the Commissioner of Education on regarding reimagining high school. Thank you to Department Chair Daniela D'Souza for the World Language Professional Development. And again, helping out with the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents in facilitating aspiring assistant superintendents. And in attendance has been Christina Ciccolini, Chrissy Concession, and Shannon Janovitz. Next, in slide 4, as Dr. Conti had said, the Poetry Out Loud. We've hosted some parent breakfasts hosted by BHS Guidance Department Director Joe Adubato. And again, you see a picture of Hard at Work, looking at the L curriculum with Max Margolius and Dr. Bonnie Nichols with the MS English department team, who will pilot both Common Lit and the L curriculum in January 2026 with the decision on March 2026. Next, in slide 5, we have the Director of Career Pathways, Shireen Tyrell, conducted 4 workshops with all seniors on career readiness skills, resume networking, elevator speech, and career research. Counselors and Mrs. Janovitz and Innovation Pathway Advisors helped to lead the workshops, and 2 career experts from Mass Hire join us to show students how to access state resources to research careers. Burlington High School students visited Northeastern University's Innovation Campus in Burlington on November 12th. Burlington High School students also at the same time went to listened to the life science and the artificial intelligence. We are presently working on the early college Part A. We got accepted for the early Part A application was approved, and we are moving on to Part B, and we've received $25,000 in planning funds. And this is a very intensive application, but the goal really is to have an early college program distinction here at the high school, so that when we partner with Middlesex Community College, we will have pathways in liberal arts, STEM, and healthcare, and these courses will be free. Free, free for our high school students, and it will really allow our high school students, if they want to end up taking, like doing a 4-year college, you end up really having 2 years or transferring over at least 2 years of community college credits already. So it's a real big win-win. So we're hard at work working on that particular grant. And we got accepted from our Part A application. We're on Part B. We're also working with designing career technical education programs and programming and web development. And we have received about $35,000 when it comes to planning funds. So that's another grant that we're working on. Next, in slide 6, with the digital learning, computer science, library communications, information technology teams. Again, the BHS Red Devils gaming, esports player, we were recognized. Again, we have digital learning coaches and the librarian leading more than 20 lessons at the middle school, teaching students ethical and safe ways to use AI when doing research. The digital learning team presented at the secondary instructional team on approved AI resources. And again, we have the digital learning team leading a 4th grade CKLA Coat of Arms project using Canva at Pine Glen, and the digital learning team leading a 3rd grade CKLA nonfiction animal magazine article lesson using Canva at Francis Wyman. Next, in slide 7, we have the Director of English Learner Education and her program, Carrie Lamprey. Here we have a Memorial 4th grader, Emmanuel Frederick, who won an art contest for his drawing castle. We have our first parent-led ever LPAC session on November 20th. And then we also have Plop, 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 grade 3 English learners at Fox Hill, working with Miss Scarano during wind time to explore onomatopoeia. Through hands-on discovery, dropping acorns connect the sounds of poetry to real-world experience, and building bridges to grade-level learning, our grade 2 English learners demonstrating their comprehensions of the Hercules stories from the English class by sequencing story events using visual supports. Next, in slide 8, with Gloria Watasek, the Director of Family and Community Engagement. She attended the DevilBots Robotics Team STEM Spectacular on Saturday, November 22nd. There were 318 attendees enjoying a full day of celebrating science, technology, and engineering. Continuing to provide ongoing family support, assisting families with access to clothing and winter essentials, food pantry referrals, and supporting mass health enrollment and navigation. And in the final slide, we have I always like to picture our elementary students to all the way up to our high school students, the turkey trot at Memorial, and then our students participating in the Devil's Bot robotics team, the STEM Spectacular on Saturday, November 22nd. So we have a lot of things going on. But I personally want to invite all of you guys, this is hot off the press, okay? This is very exciting, very exciting. On January 29th, get ready. From K through 5, families and their children are invited to curriculum night. It will be at the high school from 6 to 7:30 p.m. K through 5 curriculum night. Learn all about literacy, what your students are studying, learn all about math, learn all about science and social studies. We're going to have some SEL curriculum as well there too. We're going to have some delicious yum pretzels. So we hope that our families come out and see the wonderful CKLA, the math that we're doing, the science, the social studies, so we can learn. You know, we put in a lot of money with CKLA, but it's growing dividends, so love to have families, and their children are also invited. K through 5, curriculum night, be there, 6 to 7:30 p.m. Exciting times coming down the pipeline. January 29th.
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay, exciting times.
You might need some water after all that. Ms. Monaco.
Because you mentioned it, it's been, just a few months, but how is it going with CKLA?
Oh, it's going fantastic. I'm going to tell you that the level, and that's because I've also taught some of those classes. I can honestly say that. I've substituted in some of those classes for for teachers, and so is some of the principals. The amount of writing that students do at early levels, the vocab that I'm seeing, the rigor in the vocab, the fact that we're doing an inventions unit right now, we're incorporating science with it.
Good.
The kids are excited. It's really good stuff. And so we couldn't have segued this much nicer, because as these kids are coming up, right, and they're having, much more exposure to different types of writing. So we're talking in first grade, they're writing 3-paragraph essays. That's amazing. Introduction, body, conclusion, right? They're talking about this in kindergarten. So this is just really exciting stuff. So now is the time that, our kids they're moving up, everything's starting to move up, and we're going to also, as we start getting these kids who are, becoming, practicing more and more writing, we've also got to kick it in gear too. I'm not saying it's not being done at the middle school. I'm going to be very clear about that. But as we're adopting this curriculum, it needs to go vertically, right? So that's what's happening. And it's the same thing that's going to be happening with math. We started at the middle school because the middle school can go this way, right? So when you start putting in Algebra 1, which is your gatekeeper to calculus, right, in the middle school, it's going to push us to take a look at what are we doing in the elementary school, and it's going to also push us to take a look at, those are the two ends that we're going to have to continue to look at, both the elementary and the high school. And then after that process, because you can't do everything all in 1 year, because it's a lot of work. You're going to do we did literacy, start a little bit of math. We're going to continue on with the math, and then the following year we're going to take a look at science.
I have one other question.
Yes, ma'am.
And it wasn't from the Journey to Cares, but
No,
it's-
which is now, it's been rebranded
Oh,
to
the,
BPS Thrives.
BHS Thrives, which is a good thing. I like that.
Okay.
So I noticed that one of my grandkids, who's in the 3rd grade at Pine Glen, I've noticed his homework 2 different times. He had homework in writing cursive. And I was thrilled to see that, because his father still can't write in cursive after going through Burlington schools. But I'm curious, what's the deal? What's the cursive curriculum? How much is there?
It's embedded in the CKLA.
It's part of CKLA?
It's part of CKLA.
Is that new? Did we have cursive before CKLA?
I think it was in different spots. It wasn't consistent.
Okay, so is it consistently, are they really going to learn cursive in this program?
They're going to learn bits and pieces. It's not going to be focused primarily on cursive, but they are learning, yes.
My son will get a card that I write or that someone writes to me, and he cannot decipher it because it's cursive, and Burlington did not teach him cursive.
I do want to thank you guys profusely on this, because the implementation would not have been able to happen without the early release days, because it's a full serious implementation. And I will tell you that I give this to our elementary teachers. They are working so hard. I'm not just saying that. When I go and I listen and I'm in their classrooms, they're really taking a look at the pacing guide. They're having discussions about it. They're talking about, do I teach this? How do I stay on track? So that CKLA implementation team that meets with Dr. Nichols and then also meets with Renee, they actually plan, that's building the teacher leadership capacity. And then those teacher leaders then bring it back during those times to the individual grade levels.
Please keep up the cursive.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a comment.
Ms.
Thank
Megan.
you. I just want to say from my own personal experience and also through talking to other families that I am hearing a lot of great things about CKLA. So I want to thank everybody who's put in all the time and effort to choose this curriculum, work through the adoption. I know it's a lot of work, and a lot of families are very pleased, including myself. I'm happy to see spelling tests come home, vocabulary tests.
There's a
my
lot of
daughter's
good
studying for those
vocabulary.
things, the writing prompts that she's engaged in, inferencing through reading comprehension, and also want to plug cursive too, because learning cursive writing has a connection to boosted reading fluency. So I think it's important that our students are learning how to write in cursive and also read cursive too. Thank you.
And then the last thing I want to say that, and I really want to thank, Dr. Bonnie Nichols and I, we're going to be, at the same time, going to be training a lot of our special education team chairs, and also some of our leaders as well to be DIBELS 8 trainers. So we're going to continue that on, because we have found that to be extremely helpful.
Looks like Melissa Massardo wants to make a comment.
Yes.
Hi, I just wanted to say, very similar to Megan, my kids have done nothing but talk positively about CKLA, their teachers. We just had conferences. It's been really great. My 4th grader was asking if we could see a monastery on our vacation, because they had like a knights and castles unit, and they're doing poetry. So all positive things about CKLA. And lastly, he did cursive last year in 3rd grade. I think the teacher explained it to me that kind of the goal is for them to be able to at least understand it and sign their name. I think that's kind of the level at which he certainly didn't get tested or anything on cursive, but they did go through that unit last year too.
Thank you, Melissa. And only thing you kind of got into what I was going to ask is how it's going for the teachers. You kind of started that conversation, so I think if there's anything else you wanted to add, but.
I just really want to thank the teachers, because any time, and I'm going to give this up for our teachers, because they were the ones, I had to do a double take. They were the ones that really decided in the end, you know what, we don't want to do a partial rollout. We don't, because it's we're going to just It's good for the kids. It's going to be, I don't think they knew how hard it was going to be, but we're going to do it. And they're doing it. It's hard. I think that there's some veteran teachers that feel as though they're first-year teachers, but they're doing it for the kids, and they're not complaining, and they're beginning to see, I think they see the benefits of it. They definitely see the rigor, but I think both Dr. Conti and I, we're very, very proud of our teachers. I mean, they've put in the time and the work. It's not an easy lift to do all 6 grades in 1 year.
Right. And changes, I mean, we all know.
And
that.
changes.
Right.
So I give it to them.
All right, thank you.
Just like to also thank the teachers. Well, again, my daughter Madeline is really enjoying the cursive as well, and she writes better than I do in cursive now, which is kind of awkward. We'll put it that
You went to
way.
Burlington I.
What kind of bar is that?
It's not a very high bar, but she's much better at it than I am.
All right. We go on to move to finance? Okay.
I have some of them, yeah. Oh, they don't have the report yet? No. Okay. I have enough.
Oh,
Here, I have some.
I have a soft copy if you don't.
thank you.
You have one? You have a? Yeah, Nicole sent it to me.
It's okay, I can always look onto it, because I like looking.
All right.
Caring's caring. Really miss it. That's why.
So again, financial reports for December, I think the number that I was paying most attention to is on page 6, down the bottom. I think we had mentioned last meeting that we were concerned, and then we went back through to principals and all the other folks in charge of cost centers, asked them to scrub their budgets, and they did so. They sent those recommendations to Nicole. I just want to reiterate to people, we're not doing anything, but we're just adding a step where they have to talk to Nicole, and we're just making sure that they need what they're purchasing, and then if we can reuse some things or have some things that will suffice, or we can put something off, that we're doing that. So again, the last month it was what, Nicole, around $200,000 roughly? Or
90,000.
So we certainly have much more comfortable with the balance we have at this point in the year, and then we'll see how that tracks moving forward. Again, our coverage costs are just something we're going to have to plan a little bit differently for, and make sure that we're budgeting in a way that allows for covering absences a little bit differently than we sort of traditionally have. So I think that's one component of this, and then there are some other things that we have to make sure communication is there, and but again, Nicole's done a great job to sort of go back through everything, so I'm much more comfortable this meeting than I was last month. So that's the number I sort of pay attention to. Nicole, were there any other lines or revolving or anything like that you had? That was sort of the thing that we were sort of focused on.
Yeah, everything else is in good standing. Just one on our capital articles is the green communities, which I had mentioned last time. It's a reimbursement base, so we're waiting on reimbursements from the Commonwealth as we spend, so that deficit showing on there will resolve itself, but that's also footnoted in the report. And again, on the operating, on page 6, if you look under line 58, that's like the expense reserve. So when we had turned back everyone's operating budgets to them and asked for like voluntary, like things voluntarily that they could hold off on. And so that's where we've reduced those operating budgets, and we're holding those expenses there. So we currently have like a temporary operating freeze in place. And so as the year progresses and we see how things land, we'll either be requesting the committee to make transfers from that line up to salaries, or we'll be able to disperse them back to the departments that gave up those funds.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, yes.
Any questions, comments?
Where did that number come from?
We ask
Give
people
backs.
we ask people just to sort of look at their budgets. A lot of times they're front-loading their expenses because they need them for the year, but just looked at things more carefully. All this money is needed, so Cheyenne, I don't want you to think it's extra, but we're just asking people, we needed to have something to ask you to reallocate in case we need it. So, again, if this were April, it would be a different conversation than December.
Okay. The chair, so
Yes.
some of the, what types of things did they return or say, okay, we don't actually really, maybe we can hold off on this, or?
So there
Just
was-
give an example, just so.
There was some materials at the elementary school that had been replaced with the CKLA rollout that were being funded by the warrant article. So those were a few grand back from the elementaries.
Something like that.
And we made sure that we were consistent, so if all of the elementaries gave back all of those funds that were allocated for those other ELA materials.
Okay, that makes sense.
Great.
I think, if I understand this right, basically as the burn rate gets to where we want it to be, we'll start releasing those funds back to their intended purpose, just so we're not short at the end of the year, right?
Yeah, and we're releasing those funds now, they're just a step. So if someone says, I really need something, then Nicole sort of just clears it, and so that's all. But we had to make sure we had money to operate, that's all.
Sure.
Ms. Monaco?
Yeah, we haven't had to do this in a long time, and I think my understanding is that it's staffing and substitutes and a lot of illnesses and things of that nature. Have I got that right?
Well, again, I think there's multiple ways, but we're 85% salary. So typically, it's going to be some sort of salary figure that is going to use Mr. Brooks' term, burn things more quickly than we expect. So why is that? Is because we don't have necessarily a pool of subs. There are classes that need licensed teachers that we sometimes have to have two salaries going at the same time when someone is out and we need someone in the class. For mandated services, we can't ask a substitute to provide speech. So again, we're just looking at things a little bit differently. A lot of the substitute language in the contract was written 40, 50 years ago. It's just not relevant to sort of the current marketplace, and the level of differentiation of staff, I would say, is much greater today than it was 30 or 40 years ago. Licenses are unique, coverage is unique, so it's just a different situation. And again, I also think we had some staffing needs that that we didn't account for. A lot of changes happen between Maytown meeting and every month in school, so where we have to adjust to those.
One other question. Do all of the classes where there is a leave in place, like a maternity leave or whatever kind of leave, do all of those classes have qualified teachers?
I'm going to say most, just to be accurate. We're still waiting to fill some of those, and so I think that's, but I think in the major areas, we have licensed people covered, and then we're also asking teachers to take on additional teaching, which we have to pay them their sort of per diem rate to do, but they don't have to do it. But I think they've been great about taking on an additional section or an additional class.
Yeah, and what I'm thinking about is younger children who, you're only in the first grade once or the second grade once, or, do they have?
Yes. So elementary-wise, the answer is yes. It's a little bit easier for us to fill those classes, and I think we always look for continuity, so make sure that the kids, because developing that relationship is critical. Again, middle school is staffing a little bit different, and then high school is more of a sort of a section-based coverage, so we're sort of working in all three realms. Again, but the idea that we have people willing to do like a per diem sub who are licensed, it really isn't. We have some of those, but it's fortunate when we do.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. And the next item is Fox Hill Building Committee.
Again, Melissa, I'm not sure how your voice is, but We just
Feel
had
free to take it away.
Okay, we just had a meeting at 6:30 that was very brief. We just did some invoices and
Got an update on the
got an update and on the bidding, and again, I think our OPM confirmed that we are out to bid. There was a site visit, Bob, that you attended. They said there was good interest, and I think all of the indicators that they look for are pointing in a positive direction for people being interested in the project and bidding on that. And Bob, they're saying sort of the end of January is when subcontracts are due in the middle of the month, and then general are due sort of at the end of the month of January. And so we're hoping by February is the date that they gave. Depending on some other things, we should have a contract to move forward if the bids come in successfully. So it's exciting.
Great. Great, and the next one is BHS Building Committee, and we had a meeting on December 11th, and the decision was made to try and keep the current building committee intact, and still trying to get a collection of how many people want to continue on the committee. We welcome new members to come to the committee. We haven't set the next meeting date yet, but we'll make sure we get word out like we always do. And again, we welcome whoever wants to be a part of it. The primary charge of this committee at this moment is to, redo the SOI and to go through it piece by piece and get input from everyone and make sure that we put together the best statement of interest that we can to resubmit to MSBA. We've got the timing of when everything is due, so we'll make sure we stay on that schedule. And then, Eric, if you want to take over, I know there's additional, there's more, there may be another subcommittee that we form called a maintenance subcommittee. There's a lot of discussion on, what we want to do with the future, and he put together a nice 2-page document on, put his thoughts together. And I don't know if you want to go through a little bit of that, and then...
I can, and I think that oftentimes people, because it just makes sense, they conflate the Fox Hill Building Committee with the High School Building Committee, and what I tried to stress on Thursday is the High School Building Committee, because it's not an MSBA committee, it's not empowered through the state treasurer, it's empowered by the school committee. So you all have complete control over the high school, and the way that you set it up before was as a subcommittee. So what the charge is, how long it goes, what the focus is really for you all to decide here. All I tried to do was capture what was discussed. And so, Bob, my understanding, have the SOIs been released yet? So there's technically nothing for us to do. We're just assuming that the MSBA will release. If they release the statement of interest, the deadline they'll provide us may be sometime in April. So our hope is that we can do the statement of interest sort of very publicly. There appear to be lots of interest in the statements of interest and people wanting to contribute, so we could certainly work on that. I'd like to suggest that we keep the Thursday evenings, because that kind of was the pattern that we had for the high school, and we can get out some dates then. The statement of interest part of the charge is relatively straightforward because it's a very prescriptive process. But the timing of it is that even if we were successful with the statement of interest, we wouldn't hear until this time next year. So there's one submitted. There's really not a lot of statement of interest work that occurs in between that time. If the committee is interested in asking town meeting in May for funding for what sort of was discussed as a maintenance plan, it may not make sense for us to put together a large warrant for work on the high school unless we have something mapped out. And please, I'm way out of my sort of expertise, but Bob, something that you mentioned to me was if we have to replace things in the ceiling, it would make sense for us to do potentially a sprinkler system while the ceiling is all sort of taken down and not have to redo work once we do other things. And then if there could be some expertise to help us avoid the 30% threshold where we would trigger sort of a larger project to become ADA compliant, I think it would just drag out the smaller jobs over a longer period of time. What I did learn last Thursday is there's a 3-year window that sort of looks forward and back, so it's not just the expense in one fiscal year, it's the expense over 3 fiscal years. But it may be possible to keep under, that $19, $20 million threshold. But if that's something the school committee wants us to pursue, then there's we have to get that warrant put together for town meeting in May. I don't know what the warrant would be for. It might be for, again, funding for someone to put together a renovation plan. I don't really, it's not my area, but I would say if we're going to be asking for projects that are significant, we should have, my opinion is we should have a plan in place that takes us to sort of a fully renovated high school at some point, so you all can make decisions that are sequential and align. If you want to wait till you hear about the statement of interest, then understand you're not going to hear that until December of '26. And then if the financial town meetings are, again, if the financial meeting is in May, then if denied in December of '26, then we could ask town meeting then in May of '27. But that's sort of the timeline, is whether you want us to work on a renovation plan concurrently to a statement of interest. Bob, I just want to give you a chance to weigh in because I'm hoping I'm using all the right terms. But again, once the statement of interest is submitted, there's really little work to do on that until we hear from the MSBA in December of '26.
Right. I would just add that we do have a facilities audit. We have a 10-year and a long-term capital plan. But minus large-scale building projects, those are typically trying to stay under a threshold. And that threshold target moves every single year. So there may be $1 million, it may be $2 million of free cash that's available for us. So it's really trying to stay within those. Sometimes we are able to go above that. But that 10-year plan doesn't typically really address, let's say, a $30, $40, $50 million project too frequently. So what we're saying is that it may be worthwhile to look somewhere in between a full building at $333 million and then the yearly $1 to $2 million target range projects, and look in more of a 5 to 10-year or longer plan. Again, we haven't asked for funding yet, but more to look at what that progress may look differently than what we're doing now.
And just one last point is the maintenance work that Bob plans is for all 6 buildings, not just for this building. So I would be uncomfortable using it all for the high school because we have other needs that we have to continue to maintain. So again, I think I tried to capture that in a charge. I can send this to you all in a Word document. I was not expecting a vote because you just got it probably today because I was just working on it. But we can certainly put it on for January. But I do think it's important that you define what your expectations are of this group, and then we can target it. Again, in the short term, it's going to be the statement of interest, sort of, that's going to be our focus. But I do think sometime in January, February, Cheyenne, we need to have warrants for Maytown meeting. So it's not, everything is going to be fairly condensed once we're back from break. So, Catherine, I'm not sure, do I need to read some of this? Again, it's really in 2 parts.
I think you covered
guys
what we want,
saw,
and
but
then,
again,
just have everyone
there's
make
no
sure.
pride in anything I wrote. You guys can chop it up and get rid of it. I honestly, I just was trying to capture what was discussed.
And we can discuss it in another meeting.
I
Yep, go
think
ahead,
you
Jamie.
captured it pretty well, and you have that concurrent path where it's outlining the statement of interest, and then currently doing the work, and that's where I'd advocate again for the long-term spending plan, the 20-year plan, to start putting some of those in serial where they make sense for some of the larger projects we want to take on, prioritizing that list based on the facilities audit and, our most immediate needs, and then, programming it out to the town. So Cheyenne, their crew over there at Ways and Means can start, looking where we're going to have budget ceiling to start taking on some of these efforts and communicating them out earlier rather than later. Again, hopefully hoping the statement of interest is going to work, but planning for those improvements and, phases like you were talking about.
Thank you, Jeremy. Okay. Facilities?
The only thing I really want to add is just a reminder to all staff and students, those who enter our buildings, again, it kind of plays along with the conversation that we just had. Our HVAC systems are not the newest. They don't have the most granular control to them, and they struggle on days in the 20s. So obviously, we'll have to run the systems longer, harder, which means that layering is definitely recommended. And then, thankfully, we have some more warmer weather hopefully approaching us later on in the week, and we may see temperatures in the upper 40s and potentially even 50s, which means that we won't be turning on air conditioning. Our systems aren't that new. What we'll do is obviously have to ramp down our heat, so we're probably going to have some days that are hotter in this building, just due to that influx in the temperature. So really just a reminder that, maybe having a sweater some days to take off or a sweater to add to your layering would be helpful, during the cold weather.
Thank you. Ms. Monaco?
Yeah, I've heard little anecdotes about it's freezing in the building, or it's, it goes from too hot to too cold, and there isn't much we can do about that. The heating, changing the entire HVAC would be $80 to $100 million. So that's not going to happen. One question I had, it was in the kitchen over here earlier, and I noticed do not drink, water is not potable.
Yep.
I'm just wondering, to what extent throughout the building is that the case?
So years back, there was actually a targeted mission to turn around and define what's drinkable and not drinkable. That doesn't mean that the water is any different toxic level-wise. It really just means that what we have for drinking water is specified in a filtered machine. So that means a water fill station or a bubbler that has filters on them, whereas, let's say, a bathroom sink doesn't have any filtered water, so we don't expect or anticipate students or staff.
But is that because of, like, the piping being old, or,
It's really for us to focus and target people towards a filtered experience with water.
And what are we worried about filtering out?
Just one extra layer. So we filter carbon, we filter for lead, we filter for copper. So we just have specific filters in line. So the water that you receive here in the building is the same water that you would receive at your house or my house. So what we do is, if you choose to filter it at your house, that's up to you, but we have specific filtering stations and water fill stations, bubblers, etc., that we filter on top of, and that's where we want to guide everyone to drink from.
But is it really the same, like if I turn on my kitchen faucet and drink the water, is it the same as drinking the water in the kitchen here, or are the pipes throughout the building, are they older or made of something different or anything like that?
Same exact pipes that come from the parking lot that then go to that sink are the ones that go to the bottle fill station. The only difference is that
filters.
The actual bottle fill station itself houses an additional filter. Simple as that.
Good. Okay, thanks.
And we work with the Board of Health, we work with the town's water department. So again, we really just notify what is a non-potable drinking water versus potable drinking water. And the distinguishing factor is an additional filter.
We reviewed this on the wellness committee too.
Thank
Through
you.
the chair, I have a question.
Yes.
So my question is off topic. I was at the gym the other day in the high school, and I was wondering when the scoreboard's going to be ready, or if you have an update on that scoreboard in the high school.
The only update I can provide is that I know that we've worked with a vendor place to get the order prepared, but we don't have a ship date yet. So I'd have to update you at a future meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you. Looking forward to it.
All right. And transportation?
Only thing I'll add for transportation is that at this point of the year, we still continue to add students, which means that we do have minor adjustments from time to time on the routes. if we did not have any route changes, obviously we try to maintain status quo. And then the only thing really would be weather or traffic that may impede the routes on a daily basis. But the routes have been slightly consistent. The app that I'm aware of has been consistent. So again, minus any variables from traffic and weather, I'm pretty happy with the performance of the transportation. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any new or old business?
Yes, I do need to clarify, and I apologize for mixing this up. SPIRT is not scoliosis. SPIRT is the screening, brief intervention, referral treatment. It's the one-on-one conversation with a nurse and a student in the 7th and 10th grade that deals with like substance abuse. That is what SPIRT is. So please excuse me for mixing that up with scoliosis. But every single thing is opt-out.
Got it.
And it is on the website. Please excuse me.
Thank you. Consider yourself excused.
Motion to adjourn?
Someone second that?
Jeremy did.
Second.
Okay, sorry, didn't hear you. All right, this meeting's over. Thank you.
Can we wish everyone a happy break and a holiday? Hanukkah's ongoing, and Christmas and New Year as they come up. So
Happy everything.
happy everything.
And let's find the Brown killer. Those kids aren't going to go back if